On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Liquid Tension Experiment 3. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal, and we like to talk about it. And today, we are talking about the third album by the progressive metal supergroup Liquid Tension Experiment.
Right.
It's their first album since 1999. It came out in 2021. And it's an album that we had meant to talk about back in 2021.
Yeah. 3 years ago.
And never got around to it. I think I had announced that we were going to listen to it, and then something came out. Or came to my attention, and I went, "Oh, we got to listen to this instead."
Right, and then we never got back.
And then we never got back to it.
And this album is named after an antiquated type of phone service, LTE.
Oh, I don't think so.
No,
considering the
band is called.
That's what the band is called, and also the band was formed in the mid '90s. So I don't think that
there was no LTE.
Yeah, I don't think that was a thing at the time. Liquid Tension Experiment, if you don't know, is a supergroup consisting of three now again current members of Dream Theater. Including keyboardist Jordan Rudess, guitarist John Petrucci, drummer Mike Portnoy, and then bassist / Chapman stick player Tony Levin.
The legendary Tony Levin.
Absolute legend. He, is performed with the thing that always gets stuck in my mind is King Crimson.
Right.
But a number of other things, one of which I think was called The Stickmen. Which was revolved, around Chapman stick. Probably one of the most notable players of the Chapman stick, which is very interesting type of guitar, effectively, that usually has a ton of strings.
Lots of strings.
And it's just a stick. It's just a fretboard and headstock, and then little things down at the bottom that you can twist and turn that the strings are attached to.
Right. To change the tone.
Yeah, I don't know what you call those. Something that I always thought was interesting, because there are the Strandberg guitars now.
Yeah.
That kind of have similar string attachments down at the bottom, and then they don't have a headstock. The guitars in Cyberpunk 2077 are a weird fusion between the two, where they have a guitar body, but it's effectively a guitar body around a Chapman stick, where they have the headstock, and then they have the little things down at the bottom.
Right.
And it's something that I noticed on my second playthrough. I was like, oh, that's what these are. That's why they look very futuristic.
Right.
And you get to see a bunch of them up close, because there is a dead rock star in your brain throughout the course of that game. But that's something that's kind of neat. So we'll talk more about Liquid Tension Experiment later on in the episode. First, how are you doing?
Doing great.
Good. You've eaten something.
Yes. Now. I lost my taste for food earlier this week, like Monday.
Just a complete lack of appetite for some reason.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of felt fine right up until the last. I was fine up until about, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock today.
Yeah.
I started to get the wobble, and I'm like, I better go get something to eat before I'm not safe to drive.
Yeah. So you finally ate something, which made me happy.
Yeah.
After everyone's been yelling at you all week to eat.
So I went and ate, and then I got some fruit so I can eat fruit, because fruit's a good thing to eat when you're starving.
Yes.
And then after I had my fruit, I got a message saying, "Come outside."
And someone had KFC for you.
Yes.
And a root beer float, because it's a fusion restaurant. It's a KFC / A&W.
So you can get chicken and a root beer float.
Do you think there's a 3-in-1 somewhere?
There's got to be. Or a 4-in-1.
A 4-in-1?
Oh, I'm sure.
Normally the fusions, it's A&W, KFC, and or Long John Silver's.
And or Pizza Hut.
And yeah, that's right. There's Pizza Hut ones.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's a building that has all 4 inside. That's not like a mall.
Yeah.
Like a standalone building that has all 4 restaurants inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see if there is one of those.
I'm sure there has to be.
There has to be somewhere out there.
And I'd like to see cross menu contamination in that. Yeah.
You can get combos.
Yeah.
Of like, I'd like this. What if they had 4 different registers, and you could only order food from each restaurant at each register?
That would be silly.
That would be silly. Yes.
Yeah.
That would be kind of fun.
But truly, I do want a pizza that has deep fried fish and shrimp on it. And of course, chicken bites.
And a root beer float.
And or just a Papa Patty.
Or Papa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get them all. Just an unholy fusion of fast food. I think. No, I'd dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be into it.
I've actually had fish on a pizza before, and it was good.
I mean, it's not quite the same thing, but people get anchovies on their pizza.
I'm one of those weird people who likes that. I mean, because it's very salty and they're kind of crispy.
I feel like it's definitely not to my taste.
Mm-hmm.
People act like it's weird, but also it's a thing that you can get nationwide.
Right.
Like, it's not, a niche topping that you can only get, in one city in America. These crazy people, you'll never believe what these people in Cleveland put on their pizza.
They just started doing it.
It's like, no, you can get anchovies on your pizza pretty much anywhere.
Right.
Not necessarily at every restaurant, but if you're in a place that has more than one pizza place, you can probably get anchovies on your pizza at one of them.
I'd like to call around and ask and see if anybody here still has that available.
To order anchovies on your pizza, I don't know.
Because I did get that at Pizza Hut once.
Really?
I got a personal pan pizza.
An anchovy pizza at Pizza Hut. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I mean, anchovies were included. I don't think I would like it by itself.
Yeah. Anchovies by itself?
Yeah, I would need them out of the can.
I never have, so I all I've ever heard is that they're ludicrously salty.
Ludicrously. That's why you wouldn't eat them by themselves. You want them on the pizza with like veggies and
you want something to dilute the salt a little bit.
Some kind of a statin pill.
It is interesting to me that people saw these little fish and went, you would probably just eat those shits all in one go, right? Like,
they're tiny.
You don't gotta do anything with them. Just eat the whole fucking thing. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm trying to think of there's not a lot of other fully formed animals that people are like, yeah, just eat the whole thing in one go.
I mean,
like bugs are about the only other thing that comes to mind as far as a whole animal that people are willing to eat in one bite, depending upon regions.
Baby ducks.
Yeah. Don't make me think about balut. But see, even then, that's not usually in one bite, though. Because that's a whole... Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, duck eggs aren't that big, I guess.
They're not. I mean, they're not bigger than chicken eggs.
I guess. I'm thinking about someone putting a whole chicken egg in their mouth, and that feels like it would be...
Well, you don't want the shell.
Well, yeah, but I mean, something the size of a whole chicken egg. I mean,
sure.
Ultimately, yeah, it'll fit comfortably in your mouth, but that's going to be like opening your mouth wide enough to then bite down on it while it's all in. Yeah, that seems logistically unpleasant. I guess the closest thing to that. I mean, and hey, it's technically an egg, but it's got a shell of chocolate and it's full of peanut butter. And I absolutely will put an entire one of those in my mouth in one go.
Absolutely.
So I guess I can't, I can't comment on that too harshly.
It's the only thing I look forward to in April in North Dakota.
Is fucking Reese's eggs.
Absolutely. Everything else sucks.
Oh, April is my least favorite month.
It is the worst.
It fucking sucks. April, springtime in general in North Dakota sucks.
It's awful.
But the month of April specifically, like oftentimes what will happen is the last half of March sometimes will be really nice. It have some really nice days. Maybe it'll get up to the 60s.
Sure.
And you know, there'll be like the wind won't be blowing too badly. It's not raining very much. It's still that springtime in North Dakota where everything's kind of gross. Everything's dirty because of all the stuff that's accumulated in the snow over the winter. It's still gross. None of the trees have woken up. It's, you know, it's bleak, but it's nicer outside. You can get a bit of sunshine.
Sure.
And then April rolls around and it's like, hey, motherfucker, 45 mile an hour winds. It's 45 degrees out and it's going to be raining all day.
Right.
Go fuck yourself.
It's going to be dirty and gray and depressing.
It's just going to be just all around unpleasant. That tends to be how. And you know what? Fuck it. Gigantic blizzard. Why not? Fuck you. It's April. Like,
yeah,
I hate it. I hate it. And then you get to the middle of May and it just goes, well, it's summer now.
You're good. All right.
We haven't really had a spring and now it's summer.
Get your bike out.
Yeah, no, the seasons in this state are stupid. And they don't follow any sort of rules. And it's silly. It's silly.
The fall, I enjoy the fall here. The fall is great. I mean, it's a week long.
Yeah, I was going to say all 7 days of it.
Yeah, but it's great.
When we have a proper autumn for 7 days.
Yeah, you walk around outside with your cocoa in your hand and look at the leaves and then winter.
Yep. You can wear a sweatshirt maybe with a jacket over it. And it's pleasant. And then, and it's 5 below out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great while it lasts.
You know, on great years, it lasts until Halloween.
Yeah. That tends to be like you get just past Halloween, and then it might still be a while before there is a proper snowfall. Like you know, half the time, you know, you'll go without getting any proper snow until like mid-December.
Right.
I feel like that's happened a lot over the last couple of years, at least in like central or north central North Dakota. The eastern part of the state tends to get quite a bit more snow because it's quite a bit more. The air is quite a bit more moist over there.
Yeah, it's more moist.
They get more moisture.
It's more moist over there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's moist like panties over there. Yeah, but
like there have been plenty of times where, you know, like it's not until like December. Like we've had brown Christmases before.
We have,
where it's just dead grass outside.
Just shitty.
Yeah, it's
literally
just boring. But like the temperature will still be cold. It won't feel like autumn because it'll be like 30 degrees out.
Right.
It'll be below freezing for a long time. There just won't be hardly any snow because there hasn't been enough moisture. But yeah,
it's not moist enough here.
It's not moist enough. People sure love that word.
They do. That's their favorite. It's everybody's favorite.
Everyone's favorite. So we're going to say it as many times as possible in this episode. Complete change of topic and subject, but I mean, it won't be the last time we talk about Elden Ring because you're continuing to play it.
Right.
But I am now done with the DLC.
Yeah, I think you said that last week. Didn't you get it done last week?
No, last week was me going like, man, I don't know if I have it in me to get it done. And then I texted you an hour later and I had completed the game.
Right.
Like it's, very, very quickly after we were done recording, and I was done editing the episode and uploading it. I hopped on. I was like, I'll give it a few tries tonight, and I succeeded. I got it done.
Yay.
So yeah, I'm happy. It's a damn good DLC.
I mean, I also had some breakthroughs with the same game.
As you were telling me, you finally like, man, I've been playing the game all wrong.
Right. I've been, see, here's the thing is that I have it so hardwired into my brain, video game strategies from the 1980s, the 1990s, where everything is an obstacle. Everything you meet is in your way, and you have to kill it.
Yes.
And if you don't, you can't move on to the next thing, which I've been trying to do while playing Elden Ring.
But for the most part, the only things in Elden Ring that are truly like that are certain bosses.
Everything else, you can just flip the bird and just run by.
You can just run past it.
Right.
Like my strategy for playing any FromSoft game is the first time I go through an environment, I will fight everything in that environment.
Right.
If I'm going through a dungeon, the first time I go through it, I will fight everything at least once. Make sure, okay, maybe this specific enemy drops something, or that I'll do that, and then after that, I run past pretty much everything.
Right. There are a couple of enemies where you can't. I mean, they're go
just
through the room
in your way.
You're going to aggro them, and they will chase you and kill you if you don't deal with them.
Yeah. But for the most part, the vast majority of enemies in any FromSoft game, you can just fucking run past. And yeah, that's the way most people play the game is, if you're going through a legacy dungeon or something, you don't got to kill everything. It's tedious.
Yeah, it was tedious. It was terribly tedious.
But now you have been freed.
Now I have been freed. It's like,
now you understand.
Yeah. I mean, there are these guys, when you first hit the mountaintops, the giants, the really skinny dudes that have...
the Zamor Knights.
The Zamor Knights. I killed all the Zamor Knights, and then...
They're fucking tough, dude.
They are tough.
I hate them.
And then I died, and then when I came back, I came running by, got my runes, and said, yeah, you guys were fun. Bye.
See you later. I'm going to be on my way now.
Yeah.
I think there is like one, there's like a hidden room in the ruins where you find them. There's like a hidden little basement
where you
dungeon
go down.
There.
Does it need a stone sword key or?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I think you just need to like roll or trade. It's like an illusionary floor that you need to roll on. There's another place like that nearby where there's a jellyfish floating, and she says
like a white jellyfish.
Yeah, and she talks, and you have to summon your jellyfish, and it's extremely cute, and it made me cry.
Really? This is up Mountaintop of the Giants?
Yep, I believe it's up in Mountaintops of the Giants.
Is she the one that says you're almost there? The castle is just to the north. Who is it that says that?
I don't know who says that. I don't think it's the jellyfish. I'm not sure who. I don't remember that. I don't recall that.
As you're going past the two sort of pseudo fire giants, the golems that, and you go up and you're going to go into the frozen lake, and if you go too far in the frozen lake, there's that goddamn dragon.
Yeah. My memories of that area are very hazy because I didn't like it.
Really?
It's a lot of the late game areas in the base game are just tedious, and I don't find them very interesting. So they don't stick out in my head compared to certain other areas. Yeah, I don't know who. I don't remember that voice line. I don't remember that there. The jellyfish is floating in like the ruins of like it's. I mean, fucking everything in Elden Ring looks like a ruined church. So everything looks like a ruined cathedral. So it's hard to like actually say what the building looks like on the outside. But there's a ruins there with a jellyfish, and I don't think she says anything about the castle being nearby.
Okay. Is this before you get to the frozen lake, or do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I want to say before. Yeah. I want to say it's in the Zamor area, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember. It's been 2.5 years since I did that. So I do not. I cannot recall.
Just run past all the shit.
Just run past all the shit, man. I do think it's worth it to fight everything at least once, because that way, there are, especially in like the DLC, the items that you need to make your character more powerful, the Shadow Tree blessings.
Sure. You got to fight guys for that.
Not necessarily. There are a bunch of them that you can pick up that are like on the ground, whether they're in ruined churches, or they are, they're usually, in front of a statue of America, the way that the blessings are in the base game.
The sacred tier.
Yeah. Or so they're in ruined churches, or they are next to Michela's crosses.
Okay.
Or they are sometimes there are big hippos that you can fight.
Right.
And each of those will drop one. Or, as I found out when prepping for the final boss and going like, okay, I need every possible advantage that I can get. So I'm going to watch a video and go through the list of every single blessing that you can get.
Right.
And go and pick them all up to make sure I have all of them. And there's like 7 of them that are dropped from random shadow guys, like they're the basic NPC that sort of wanders around, like the version of the hollow undead from Dark Souls 1, that carry around little pots on their head. And there's a whole bunch of them that will just drop the blessings. They're always there. They're static NPCs that like it's not random. They're always in the same spots, but I normally would just ignore those guys because they hardly do anything. They're barely worth your time. So I think had missed every single one of the blessings that was carried in those pots.
So would you have to kill them, or?
Yeah, you have to kill them, and then they drop that and a bunch of other stuff as well. And there's like some of them have Shadow Tree blessings, and then some of them have Revered Spirit Ashes, which is what makes your Spirit Ash summons and Torrent more powerful. And yeah, they're just randomly, they're spread throughout the map. There will be guys with pots on their heads. Some of them, most of them, in fact, the guys who have the pots on their heads don't have any items in them. They will instead huck the pot at you.
Right.
And it does a ton of stagger damage. It doesn't. I mean, it does do a ton of regular damage as well, but that's just everything in the DLC. Does like a third of your health bar. That's just every single enemy in the DLC.
I mean, I just think it's weird that you're somebody who's killed gods, and now a
random soldier of Mesmer with an axe gets to do a third of your health bar in one hit.
Right.
The scale, even when you have like max blessings, they still hit you like a fucking truck. Like, I ended up wearing pretty heavy armor with like 60 vigor. Like my character's not made of wet tissue paper. Everything just hits insanely hard. I don't fucking get it. I've finished the DLC and liked it, but still, it's baffling. Like you get used to it and you can work around it, but compared to like the basic enemies, in the base game, even when you're starting out, like basic Lord Sworn soldiers are not hitting you for a third of your health bar at the start of the game. I am still kind of like I finished it, an hour after we were done recording.
Right.
And I'm still in that space where I'm like, I don't know what game to play, where I'm like lost. I've got like an Elden Ring hangover. I think honestly what I'm probably going to do till Space Marine 2 comes out is probably just go back to playing Deep Rock.
Sure.
Which is what I was doing yesterday. I played a little bit of Valheim. I had some chores to do around the base, some construction projects, and then I went back to playing Deep Rock Galactic, which I think is a very comfortable fallback game.
Sure.
Because unlike a few of the other like co-op horde shooters that I have, I've got Helldivers 2, I've got Darktide, but both of those games are way more stressful than Deep Rock. Like Deep Rock can get pretty hectic, but something about I think part of it just comes down to the art style, and then the other part comes down to the community. Like,
Right.
It feels way more cozy and relaxing, even though there's 8 million bugs trying to eat your face.
Sure.
The fact that you're a funny little dwarf who constantly yells rock and stone and drinks beer and farts, like it makes the game feel.
I kind of feel attacked right now.
I don't feel attacked by that. I feel seen.
Yeah.
It just feels very cozy to me. So it's very nice to pop that open again and just be like, yes, this is all still here. And it's just as fun as it was.
What's the full name? Deep Rock Chopra?
Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh, Galactic.
Yes. Deep Rock Chopra.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Deepak Chopra, he was just a dude who. You're gonna make me do this, aren't you?
I have no idea what this is, so I'm waiting for you to explain it.
He's
to me.
hold on, let me.
He's like a musician or something.
No, he was an advice guy.
Like a guru.
Kinda. I can't believe you've never heard of him.
Was he like a Harry Carey guy or?
Let's see. No, how does the interweb describe him? An Indian American author, New Age guru, and alternative medicine advocate.
Was he John Lennon's guy?
No, he was not.
Okay,
that was the Maharishi.
That's right. Okay.
Who, by the way, pissed John Lennon off huge.
Yeah, I remember Lindsay Ellis's video where she was talking about the legacy of Yoko Ono and whatnot.
Yeah,
that came out. It is last month now. It's August.
Right.
It was originally on Nebula exclusively for a while, and then she eventually did upload it to YouTube. But talked a little bit about the sort of the falling out that happened there. Very good video, by the way.
Did you talk about the song "Sexy Sadie"?
I don't
remember that.
I don't think so. I don't remember that. She didn't talk too much about the music. It was more so about the fact that there are many women who were once like ridiculed and demonized by the media who later got their day in the sun and have had a reappraisal of like their personality and their legacy. And no one has bothered to do that for Yoko Ono, despite the fact that she makes a very good case that she deserves it.
Right.
That people have made baseless claims and accusations.
She broke up the Beatles.
Yeah. For 50 plus years, 60 years.
50 plus.
50. Yeah. Well, 70s. I can't math.
They broke up in 1970, which would have been 54 years ago.
Okay. Thank you for mathing for me.
You're welcome.
But yeah, that she deserves maybe a reappraisal. Especially considering the absolute nightmare that was the aftermath of John's death.
Right.
The horrible things that she had to deal with and that were directed towards her. And that she was basically left to deal with by herself.
Right.
Was pretty insane and stuff that I had never heard about, because the only thing anyone ever talks about is how that Yoko Ono broke up the Beatles and that she's so fucking weird and her music sucks. And
you know why she makes that kind of music? So I imagine it's got to be in her head. This is for you, asshole.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Well, and also it's like her foundation and really her whole career has not necessarily been as a musician, but has been as a performance artist.
Right.
That's what attracted John Lennon to her in the first place, is because she made really interesting performance art, and it was the sort of thing that John Lennon was interested in, making his own art weirder and more transgressive.
Right. With the Beatles.
Yeah. And
it's so
that's
weird.
what he continued to do when the Beatles broke up.
Right. And you listen to their first album, or like Meet the Beatles, you listen to that, and then you listen to, it's like anything after 1967. You're like, this is not the same band.
Something happened.
These guys have grown quite a bit. Oh, I know what they've done.
Some drugs.
Lucy and this guy with diamonds is what they did.
Although one of the things that was in the video is that a little bit, there's some indication, at least, or some readings, of their career, that they, they didn't necessarily want to be making like really weird music all the time, but like the squeaky clean image that they have, in their first album is not what they had started out with. Like the suits and the clean haircuts and everything was a little bit of a rebrand for them, for their first like manager.
Right.
But which is something that I'd never, seen. Like there were pictures of them,
in the 50s.
their first performances together, and they were kind of, they looked kind of like greasers a little bit.
Yeah, they were wearing leather and had their hair slicked back, and they're playing in a dungeon in Germany.
Yeah, and that looks totally different from their debut on television and in the US and everything. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of interesting sort of context that I never have about these. That always interests me, where you get like extra insight into a thing that everyone thinks they know about. That things that are easy to find but just aren't talked about because everyone knows this. It's like, well, actually,
do you know that?
Do you know that? Anyhow, you know what I know?
Liquid Tension Experiment.
Yeah, and that this album is pretty bonkers.
It is pretty bonkers.
So Liquid Tension Experiment, like we said at the start, is a supergroup consisting of 3 members of Dream Theater, as well as Tony Levin. Tony Levin. I always get that. For some reason I can't get it straight. They started performing together in like working on stuff together in 1997, which is actually before Jordan Rudess had joined Dream Theater. Like when the Liquid Tension Experiment was John and Mike's introduction to Jordan Rudess as a keyboardist, essentially the first time they had worked together. And then later they're like, hey, do you want to be in Dream Theater?
Right.
And, they went on to make some insanely great music together for the next, the lineup wouldn't change until 2010.
Right. Mike left.
Yeah. And I still think that's interesting that I somehow didn't hear that Mike Portnoy is back in Dream Theater, and I'm excited to hear some more from them, especially considering like Mike Portnoy had done a whole shitload of different stuff.
Right. Worked with different acts.
A ton of different band. Like he performed with Twisted Sister for a couple years.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Like
really?
Yeah. Okay. Really. Like he had performed with a whole bunch of different acts. Collaborated with a ton of different people. And he collaborated with John Petrucci on John's solo stuff.
Sure.
But what interests me is like sometimes, when someone leaves a thing they're known for and like, oh, they're doing all kinds of different stuff. It's like, are they still able to do what they used to do? And then you listen to this and it's like, oh, Mike Portnoy he can still flickety flam them drums. To quote
Dirty B. Hines.
Yeah, to paraphrase Brent Hines.
He wasn't the fill-in for in A7X, was he?
Yes, he was.
He was? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he filled in for the Rev, which is part of the situation.
When he went on vacation.
Yeah, that part of what led to issues with Dream Theater.
Gotcha.
In the first place. And then he, went on to do all kinds of different stuff. This was recorded at Dream Theater's studio,
right?
In Long Island.
I think that's sort of a thing you have to have. If you've been a band for more than 30 years,
you need to have your own studio.
You better have your own studio by now.
unless all of you are just deeply uninterested in audio production.
Right. Which, if you've been doing this for 30 years, how the fuck is that possible?
Yeah. How has that happened? As I understand it, John Petrucci is sort of the main like engineering force in the band for Dream Theater and for Liquid Tension Experiment. He is. I can't remember when I was reading through various stuff about the bands. I don't remember when exactly he started producing and engineering for like Dream Theater. I don't remember what album that was on. It might have been around Metropolis Part 2 when he started to like work a little bit behind the scenes on that sort of thing. But he's definitely continued to do so since sometime in the early to mid 2000s. I don't remember.
Nice.
So it's 3 guys from Dream Theater and then Tony Levin. God damn it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just remember, Tony is one more than 10.
Tony 11. There we go. That's
Tony.
It's 11. One less string than is on certain kinds of Chapman stick. But yeah, he's performed with a ton of different acts as well. We mentioned at the top of the episode, a couple of them, of course, King Crimson, Peter Gabriel as well.
You know when you hear that song Sledgehammer? You know when you hear the really weird
Tony,
the bass line, it's Tony, yeah.
Bruford Levin Upper Extremities, aka Blue. Hobolima. Hobolima. Which Hobolema, which I have to assume is the names of the people in the band. And then Stickmen since 2000. Also, session musician with names such as John Lennon, Sarah McLachlan, Stevie Nicks, Pink Floyd, Paul Simon, David Bowie, Tom Waits, Warren Zevon.
But by the way, Bruford was from a band called Yes. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Are there any other names here? And has toured with Paul Simon, James Taylor, Peter Frampton. Yeah, the guys had a career.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah, it's funny. He's been a legend for longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's been just absolutely a crazy, insane career. And also, dude's got an absolutely bitchin' mustache. That's got nothing to do with his ability to play the bass. Maybe it does.
What if at some point he shaved his mustache and he picked up the bass and went...
He just couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, no.
All the power was in the stash. But
yeah, he sat down at a campfire and a woman appeared out of nowhere and said, "You must not shave your mustache.
Yes.
I offer you an accord. Keep the mustache."
I thought you were doing a biblical thing, but instead it was like Samson and his hair.
Yeah, I was combining the two things.
You were combining the Bible and Elden Ring. Calm down, Mia. That's going to be the next FromSoft games. It's going to be Christian themes in a FromSoft game. They've already tackled Japanese mythology in Sekiro. Now they're going to do Christian mythology.
Wow,
that'd be interesting.
What if you just went slightly off the path and did Mormon mythology?
Dark. It truly is the Dark Souls of Mormonism.
You play as Joseph Smith. Yeah.
Being guided by the grace of gold tablets.
Right.
The grace of gold tablets that hat. Only you're allowed to look at.
Right.
No one else can look at them. So, that's the members of the band. And put them all together and you get just absolutely insane combination of skills and playing. I remember the first time we talked about Dream Theater on this program, and you were like, it sounds like a constant I'm paraphrasing because this was a while ago, but you're like, it's like,
I had heard them before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're like, this sounds like competitive songwriting.
Yeah.
Where they're all competing with each other to see who can play the craziest, most insane thing. And this is kind of that, but unbound from the need to have any lyrics or singing or vocals. And so it gets pretty fucking insane. They start off on,
that first song is a banger.
Like they open up the album with the most batshit insane that the album is going to be with Hypersonic. Just absolutely, going from 0 to 100, going from 0 to light speed, in an instant, with the open of the album, and playing around with things from there on. I listened to the deluxe edition of the album, which
so did I.
The regular version, the regular album, is a little under an hour long. And then the deluxe edition adds an hour that's just them jamming and improvising. It's just a recording of 4 different tracks that was just them improvising, and their improvisations together sound like what other bands would meticulously write. You can definitely tell here and there that things were meandering a little bit. That's what happens when you jam.
And I almost had to call you.
Why?
Well, I almost had to call you. I'm like, okay, well, there's another hour. I
can't finish it.
I haven't heard the deluxe portion of this. I want to make sure I get through the deluxe portion of it. And I'm like, it's 6:45. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And like that's what I was thinking. It was like, I hope OJ knows that this is just kind of like improvisational stuff.
Yeah. Clearly,
he doesn't need to listen to it necessarily. It's still really cool. It feels like it would be really great as like kind of just background music for me a little bit, like because because it's all improvisational. I think one of the things that when it comes to progressive music that it's hard to do is improvised drums for like progressive style music, because the crazy nutty time signatures are something that I feel like you need to plan out a little bit more, because you are the one that everyone else is following.
Yeah, well, you and the bass.
Yeah, you and the bass. And it's like if people don't know ahead of time what insane shit you're about to do, it can be pretty hard for even the most quick and talented minds to keep up with that sort of thing. So
I feel like these guys have played together enough.
Yeah, they can manage a lot more than most would be able to.
Right.
But definitely those improvised tracks are in some ways a little bit more conventional sounding from a time signature standpoint.
Right.
But they're still a lot of fun to listen to, especially how at the end of every track you can hear them going like, hey, that was pretty cool. Which I always like hearing that sort of thing when you have little bits of studio banter at the end.
Yeah.
There's something nice about that. I don't know. I appreciate it. Does this album slap?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does. So this album includes a number of original recordings, and then it also includes one cover, which
Rhapsody in Blue.
Their fucking insane cover of Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin.
I don't think his version is 10 minutes long, is it? I mean,
you mean 13 minutes long?
Sorry, 13 minutes long.
You don't sell them short, OJ. Yeah, it's instead of the iconic clarinet opening of Rhapsody in Blue is instead Chapman Stick, and it's insane.
It is.
Like
and at first, because it's different instrument to different instruments.
Yeah. You got it.
I'm like, did they also have a song called Rhapsody in Blue, or is this actual Gershwin's fucking Raps? And then you get into the meat of it, it's like, oh my god,
yeah. It's. I need to hear more progressive metal bands doing covers of classical music,
or big band music from the the early 20th century.
Yeah, like
I want to hear progressive bands do Sousa. I want to hear this band cover a march.
Yes. I think it would be very interesting almost every time. Gorgut's doing something like that.
I can hear that.
I mean, fucking like the band leader can already write that shit.
Right.
Like I think it would fit. It would be really interesting. To hear a really frighteningly discordant version of some sort of classical music.
Actually, if you want to hear Sousa done discordantly and strange, there's a whole album of it.
What's that?
Done by a band from the Bay Area.
Whomst?
Called The Residents.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Well, September's coming up. So there's that. Something that I thought was interesting is that I could hear in a lot of Petrucci's guitar like little bits and motifs that I felt like I recognized, bits that felt very reminiscent of stuff that I can remember hearing on Dream Theater. That. I don't know. I love motifs in music and things sort of returning and reuse. I enjoy that.
He really likes triplets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's da-da-da.
Yes.
He loves those.
And John Petrucci has an extremely distinctive playing style.
He can shred.
He can absolutely shred. I think one of the things that I appreciate most about his guitar playing, though, is how emotive it is in a lot of ways.
Oh, hell. What the hell is the song where it's just almost puts you in tears? Just blues song.
Shades of Hope?
Shades of Hope.
Yeah. Shades of Hope is gorgeous. That is a beautiful song. They also have a sequel, the third part of a trilogy, which is Chris and Kevin's Amazing Odyssey. So the story,
it's just weird.
The story behind behind that song and those songs, because they have
Chris on every album.
Yeah, Chris and Kevin's Excellent Adventure, and then Chris and Kevin's Bogus Journey.
So it's like Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted.
Right.
The reason for that is apparently a photographer, while they were taking pictures for their first album, kept on calling Mike and Tony Chris and Kevin.
Mike and Tony.
Yeah.
Because Tony does not look like a Kevin.
Yeah. And the names are very different.
Right.
It's not even close.
No.
Not even the right letters. But he kept on calling them Chris and Kevin. And so now they've had a song, and it's the name that they use for anytime they have a duet between Tony and Mike. Basically.
Because it's weird. It's like there's upright bass in there. And
Tony's playing an upright bass, and it's mostly just drums alongside it. It's weird, but also you're listening to Liquid Tension Experiment. Are you not expecting weird?
There's going to be some weird in there.
Yeah, there's going to. They are a progressive band. I really, really enjoyed this. I mean, I knew I was probably going to really enjoy it.
Had you not listened to it before?
I think I had listened to it all the way through when it came out, but I don't think I had listened to it since then. So like I knew like, okay, I know Hypersonic is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But that was like one of the only things that I really remembered listening to from this was Hypersonic. And after that, everything was pretty hazy as far as my memory of it. So
That's the whole 1990s for me.
all of the 90s. But what's before we talk about favorite songs, score, I thought was interesting because at least the 5 that were on Wikipedia came out to a 72.
Really?
Which I think is bullshit.
That is bullshit.
I think this deserves better than a 72. At least an 80. Come on. But what's your favorite song on this here record?
I mean, Hypersonic.
Hypersonic is hard to beat for sure.
It is.
I think all things considered, I mean, surprise, surprise, I liked what is ultimately the closing track of the proper album, Key to the Imagination, partially because it felt like the song that most succinctly brought together all of the things that every band member was capable of.
Right.
Everything is on display.
That's another long track.
Yeah, that track is definitely not short. So maybe the word succinct is not appropriate.
Sure.
That one's also 13 minutes long. Right. But you, in that running time, have the opportunity for everyone in the band to show off all of what they're capable of, which I feel like is the point of a project like this. Is like, we're these insanely talented musicians and we're just gonna fucking show off for an hour. And I love that. I think that's great. Just being able to hear a pure expression of these guys' musical talent. Right. It's this album feels joyful. It feels just joyful. It's a joy to listen to, especially if you're a fan of progressive rock or metal. It's just guys who are very, very good at it, being very, very good at it for nearly 2 hours if you're listening to the deluxe edition. It's great. It's really good. So what medal are you bestowing upon it, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
That's a gold.
Yeah, I agree. I actually didn't write down what I was going to give it because I needed to like talk through my feelings about it. And it's like, is this a silver for me, or do I really, really like it? And I think through talking about it, I've decided I really, really like it. So yeah, it's a gold for me too. Yeah. So next week, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I had planned a specific album that's been stuck in my head for the last couple of weeks. I wanted to talk about that one, but then I realized something's been out since March that I think we need to talk about.
Okay.
And that is I forgot the word.
You forgot it.
I can't words. It is the words. Why can't I words today?
I don't know.
For Invincible Shield
by
Judas Priest.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'm down. I'm absolutely down to listen to some Judas Priest.
Just came out in March.
It just came out 5 months ago.
Yeah. Unlike Rob.
It's been out for significantly longer.
Yeah, it's for like 25 years. Right?
But anyway, hell yeah, I'm very, very down to listen to some Judas Priest. So that's next week. Until then, why don't you go ahead and follow our pages on Facebook or the website formerly known as Twitter, or go ahead and subscribe to our podcast feed on whatever service you're using to listen to us right now. Until you hear from us next, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations! I went to Popeyes.
Did you?
And I got the large mashed potatoes with my tenders. And
I like them because they're lumpy at Popeyes a little bit.
Yeah, they're a little bit like that.
Feels like potatoes.
I don't know what was going on with the way they made the potatoes. Or I think it was just the volume, the amount of it.
Yeah.
I might have 3rd-degree burns in my esophagus. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Like the first couple of bites, holy fucking shit, that's so hot. And like, all right. And, stirring them, blowing on them a little bit, about 5 minutes later, take another bite, still piping hot mashed potatoes.
I like that they were piping hot. You had them in your mouth, and that your reflex wasn't to spit them back out into the thing, but to put them inside your body.
I don't think it's entirely logical, but what it does do is it dissipate. The heat is no longer concentrated.
Sure.
And when you spread it out via the medium like that, it dissipates.
So you're saying like the second law of thermodynamics is at play here.
Yeah. Where if I had not swallowed it and because I think.
And spitting it out is gross anyway.
Spitting it out is gross.
Right.
That was the main thing. My reflex is never to spit out food. I think a lot of people, it's Kyle Kinane talks about it. Like his thing was like, oh, this is burning my flesh. Put it in your mouth. Yeah. For me, sometimes, most of the time, if something is very hot and already in my mouth, my reflex is to swallow it. It's stupid. I don't think it's particularly smart.
You're going to make someone very happy someday.
It shouldn't be that hot. That's what happens when you're dating the Human Torch, apparently. Yeah. The Human Torch and his boiling hot cum.
Please make that the snippet at the end.